All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mike, and today I'm joined by two super dope guests, two of my favorite people in the space. We've got Dan Levy from, I'm
Where am I
blanking,
from?
Half the Battle. Sorry, Dan. And we got Lucrative MMA over here. Thank you guys for coming on. Appreciate it big time. And yeah, I'm going to pass the mic real quick, and we're going to hop right into the card. It's a really dope one, UFC 288. I'll be there live, so I'm very excited. And obviously, I have to have a bet on every single fight. So I'll be talking about those. Lucrative, thanks for coming on, man. How are you feeling about this pay-per-view?
Yeah, doing well, man. Thanks for having me on as always. You know, I think we've done this a couple of times now, but I'm always happy to do it. And to do it with someone like Dan, I think it's going to be a fun show, man. So yeah, thanks again for having me on. This card is going to be good. As always, you know, I'm a little bit more pumped up for a pay-per-view card. You know, throughout the month, we always do these smaller cards and the fights are not as good. I'm not as excited, but when you got Henry Cejudo coming back, Aljo Sterling, we got some good fighters on this card. That Frevola fight, I can't wait to talk about that one. It's going to be a banger. I'm always a little bit more pumped up. So can't wait to do the stream. Can't wait to watch the fights this weekend.
Hell yeah. Dan, how about you, brother?
Well, I appreciate you passing me the mic, bro. I mean, I'm feeling fucking amazing. I mean, two of my all-time favorite money trains are on this card, and that's all that matters. So let's get into it.
I already know what you're talking about. I'm with you on one, not on the other, but let's hop right into the card. We got a bunch of fights to talk about. First one up, we've got Daniel Santos versus Johnny Munoz Jr. Santos 10-2-0. He's 28, 5'7" with a 67-inch reach. Shoot box, and I mean, the kid looks like Oliveira, tries to fight like Oliveira. You could see the shoot box influence. Munoz 12-2-0. He's going to be 2 years older, 2 inches taller, have a 4-inch reach advantage. Lucrative, why don't you start us off here? What are you thinking?
First of all, last fight from Daniel Santos was a crazy fight. You know, we got to mention that first of all, because that was probably one of the fights of the year, even though it didn't even last 2 full rounds. And I actually had a bet on Daniel Santos. I had like plus 170 or something. And I thought the guy was done in the first round. You know, he was getting dropped, rocked, wobbled all over the place, got hit with like flush head kicks, not even straight punches. But, you know, he is what you would think he is coming out of shoot box. You know, like Oliveira gets rocked, dropped, but comes back to find a win. And if you go back and look at some of his other fights, I'd say he's never as badly hurt as he was in that fight, but oftentimes he's coming back from some adversity, you know, whether it be in taken down or at least just going back and forth. And his pace and pressure always gets to his opponents. That's what happened to Castaneda, and that's what happens in most of his fights. And that's what I think is going to happen in this fight, honestly. Johnny Munoz Jr. is a good grappler. He's not the best wrestler, but I do think he's got a good jiu-jitsu game. You know, he's very strong, very heavy on top, transitions to the back quite well. And so I do think there is going to be some trouble for Daniel Santos in this fight. I do think he's seeing potentially the best top grappler that he's ever seen in MMA. So there might be some issues there. You know, I'm not rushing to play minus 180 against Johnny Munoz Jr. because we haven't really seen Santos against this type of fighter. But, you know, more often than not, I do feel like Santos probably scrambles out of some positions, maybe gets taken down once or twice. But as soon as he gets into the second and third round, I think the pace and pressure breaks Johnny Munoz, and picking Santos for the TKO win in round 2 or 3.
All right. How about you, Dan?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Daniel Willie Catchy Santos, man. I mean, this is a guy I bet on in both of his UFC fights. I bet him at plus 160 against Arce. I bet him at plus 175 against Castaneda. He's a guy that's going to fight for your money. But, you know, there's a big difference between minus 185 and plus 175. I'd say minus 185 is probably accurate. So I'm all good from a betting perspective. Pick is Santos. I mean, if the question is, can he deal with Johnny Munoz grappling? I mean, I've seen Daniel Santos grapple with Alan Nascimento and even tap out Alan Nascimento in the gym. And I know the gym and the fight's different, but like just saying, he's getting real looks with real black belts on a daily basis. So I'm not too concerned about Munoz, but I got to give Munoz credit. He's definitely improving. That last fight was a step in the right direction, but it's just kind of not enough for me. And I think that Daniel is going to push that pace from the jump, put that pressure on him, and eventually either get him out of there or land enough damage to, you know, accumulate the points and win the decision.
Yeah, I'm on Santos also. Not much else to add. I mean, you could look at the Murad Kalimov fight if you want to talk about his counter grappling. Like, yeah, he got taken down, of course. Kalimov is a really good wrestler, but he showed an ability to get back up. He showed an ability to scramble. He showed good counter grappling. And like my gut feeling when I first saw the line was, all right, Munoz Jr. is probably pretty live here. And then I watched the tape. I liked some of his offensive striking. Like he strikes long. His combinations look good. But I feel like he kind of overextends. He leaves himself open. That's how Gravely caught him. Gravely, yeah, he's got big power. But Santos, I think he's very good in the pocket, and I think he's very good at countering. So when Munoz overextends, I think he's going to clip the guy. I think he's going to back him up against the fence. Munoz needs that range. He's not good up close. Santos is. Will he get taken down? More than likely, but it's also not guaranteed. Like, he got taken down by Castaneda, but I'm pretty sure every single time was after he got hurt, not before. And I'm just not. I think Munoz is a very good grappler. I just don't think it's going to be enough here. So I do like Santos. I played him minus 155 for just to win 1 unit. So a 1.55 unit stake. And that's it. I mean, I was going to pass. I just feel like he does have an edge here. And I do think he should really win this unless he's just getting grapple fucked, which I personally don't see happening. But all three of us on the same side. We can move on to our next one. We've got Joseph Holmes versus Claudio Ribeiro. Holmes 8-3-0. He's 27 years old. Yo, this isn't the first time I've been called Heisenberg's son. I don't know why.
Oh, he's not talking about me because I'm bald?
Nah. This guy, Steve Gregory's called me Heisenberg's son more than once.
So who's Les Grossman?
You.
I should probably know that.
You, because he's Lucrative's up in the right corner.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna do a quick Google search so I can get.
I don't know who Les Grossman is. I know who Heisenberg's son is.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely Les Grossman. He's bald.
Okay.
So that's me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this guy comes on all my streams and says it. I think it's pretty funny. But Joseph Holmes Ribeiro. Let's see what we got. 8-3-0 for Holmes. 27, 6'4" with an 80-inch reach. On the other side, Ribeiro, you got 10-3-0. He's 33 years older. He's going to be 3 inches shorter. 3-inch reach disadvantage. Why don't you start us off, Dan? What you got here?
Not much. I mean, listen, man, I bet on Claudio his last fight at like, I think, what was it? Like either somewhere between plus 100 to plus 115. And he landed some nice shots on Razak, but as soon as Razak touched him, and I'm not even talking about the knockout sequence in round 2, I'm talking about the end of round 1. As soon as Razak touched him, you saw all the fight immediately leave Claudio Ribeiro. And that wasn't a good sign at all, because going into the fight, I was kind of like, yeah, I know his regional scene has been kind of suspect, but he kind of gave me like Johnny Walker / Michelle Pereira vibes, where he's doing a dance, you know, walking to the octagon. He's a guy that's probably going to do backflips, fights with his chin in the air, but I thought that, you know, he's athletic enough to maneuver, and I was wrong, you know. But here, Joseph is definitely a step down in competition, but physically speaking, Joseph's a large man. If Joseph ever puts it together, maybe he can give people problems. And I'd say that this is probably a dogger pass situation, because, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what to do with minus 190 Claudio. He's got to kind of earn that. Pure pick, I'll go Claudio, but, I mean, I don't have any confidence in that man. I mean, I think it's a dogger pass situation. Joseph's fought the better competition, but he's also a guy that lost to Jamie Pickett. Should we hold that against him or not? So we'll see if he gets better or not.
Yeah, I mean, when I was looking at this fight, like, my gut reaction was pass. And then I taped it. I was kind of thinking maybe Holmes. And then when I finished, I was like, I'm passing, because don't fade a bad fighter with a bad fighter is what I've learned. And I think both of these guys are pretty bad. Holmes, I don't think he does anything particularly well. I think he's still super green. I think he should spend more time on the regionals and then come back. He tries to wrestle. His thing is allegedly grappling, but I don't think he's very good at it. His striking's all right, but he's so hittable. He's got that tall man's defense 100%.
Both
and Ribeiro, like, I'm not a huge fan either. I don't think he's that great. The Ivan Valenzuela fight on Contender Series, I think, is just like, I don't think you can take anything from it. He caught the guy on a spinning, like, whatever it was. It was a clean knockout. It was cool, but I don't think you can take much from it. You look on his regionals, like, he almost never goes past round 1, round 2. He's gone to a round 5, but the guy was 40 years old. What's his freaking name? I have it down somewhere. Regardless, he's 40 years old, Albuquerque. And that fight was interesting because he was getting taken down. And when he wasn't getting taken down, he was getting controlled against the fence. So to me, that's not a good look. I think that Holmes could do that. I think that Holmes could win the fight as it extends. But I think the most likely outcome is Ribeiro knocks his head off. So I'm just going to stay off of it. I don't want to bet a knockout or a Ribeiro money line at minus 190, whatever he is, minus 170 now. And I have no interest on Holmes plus 150 at all. So for me, it's a pass. And what do you think, Lucrative?
Yeah, again, I don't really have too much more to add because I don't have too much of an opinion on this fight. A few sharp guys in my circle jumped on Holmes at like plus 180. And I understand why, the fight should probably be lined a little bit closer to a pick'em. Both fighters are not very good. I think Claudio probably catches him, maybe redeems himself from that Razak performance, but it wasn't a good performance. And a few people on the under, as well. A few people that I spoke to are on under 1.5. Both fighters have 100% finishing rate. And so maybe we see the fight go early. Most fights of Claudio Ribeiro's do finish early. So that could be another angle there. But for me, I'm just going to watch it as a fan. Hopefully someone gets brutally knocked out. Not in a nasty way, but just in an entertainment way for the sport. Hopefully they recover healthily after. But yeah, man, I'll take Claudio as a pure pick, but I don't have no confidence.
Mike, who's that I see in the background?
That's Spliff, bro.
So cute.
Spliff. Of course, it's called Spliff.
Dude, I got him in college, and he was like this little puppy. I put him on my bed, and I'm just looking at him, and I'm like trying out normal names. I'm like, Huey, Max. And then I look at him. I'll tell you where the name came from. Anybody listening, here you go. I got the name from a drug dealer I met once who introduced himself as Spliff. And I was like, that's pretty cool. And then when I got my dog, I'm trying to name him something normal. Nothing's working, and I'm not a very normal person. And I'm like, yo, Spliff. And it worked. So 6 years now, he's been Spliff, and that's my bud right there.
Dogs are the best, man.
Dude, absolutely. Where's yours? On the couch behind you?
Chilling back there. He's
there you go.
My boy Leo, you know what I'm saying?
There you go.
He'll make an appearance here sooner or later.
He was there earlier, but
yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next one. This one's actually pretty good. We got Zhalgas Zhumagulov versus Rafael Estevam. Zhumagulov, 14-8-0, 34 years old, 5'4" with a 66-inch reach. Estevam, 11-0. He's undefeated. He's going to be 8 years younger, 4 inches taller, and have a 3-inch reach advantage. Training out of Nova União. I think Zhalgas is at Sanford.
No, he's at ATT.
ATT. My bad. And yeah, I'll start us off here. I've been back and forth. A lot of people who I talk to are on Estevam, especially one person I respect a lot. He's on Estevam even at chalk, which he doesn't do often. But I think I'm probably going to pass. My lean is Zhalgas, to be honest, because I feel like he's a good wrestler. His takedown defense is pretty good. I know you can look back on his record. You see the Tagiro and Bekov fight. You see the Ali Bagotinov fight. He should have lost both of those, realistically. He got completely out-wrestled by both guys, but they're very, very legit wrestlers, both of them, especially Ali. I mean, the guy's very, very good at wrestling. I don't know if Estevam has the same level, but the dude's relentless. He's going to keep shooting no matter what. We've seen his jiu-jitsu defense at work. I mean, the guy he fought on the Contender Series is like a black belt, and you could see the scrambles immediately, and Estevam was able to keep himself safe. My issue with Estevam and why I can't lay chalk on him is his striking. I don't like his striking. I don't like his striking defense. He pretty much completely, to me, relies on the takedowns. Zhalgas isn't some boxing stud, but he's got good output, and he is a decent striker. He just has to get into the range because he's so small. On the feet, I do think he's going to be winning the minutes, Zhalgas. If he's getting taken down by Estevam, getting controlled, obviously he's going to lose the fight. I think he might have what it takes to scramble back up and outstrike the guy. My lean is going to be Zhalgas, but I don't think I'm going to touch it. The price is a little tempting to me, but for me, I think this is a pretty good pass. How about you, Lucrative?
Yeah, I'm actually on Estevam here. I like Estevam. I think he's got good pace, good pressure. Another one of these Brazilian fighters that's just relentless, man. Going to keep coming forward, going to keep pushing the pace and dictate where he wants to fight. So a big thing about this is I do think he's going to be the one dictating where the fight takes place. Most likely it's going to be taking place on the ground. And at this stage of his career, I just think Zhalgas is done, man. I mean, the guy retired last time out after the Charles Johnson split decision. He should have won, whatever. Then the fight before that split decision, he should have won, whatever. I was actually on him at like plus 140 and by decision there. So, it is what it is, though. That's the game. I just feel like Estevam is this up-and-coming guy. And oftentimes I don't speak of narratives too much, but you have to take into account someone who's rising, who's just got into the UFC, who's going to be putting his all into it, and someone who literally retired, So coming back from retirement, it never really goes well. And I don't think this is a good fighter you want to test the waters of, coming back from retirement. And this guy's going to go straight at him, like 100%. And I just feel like he's got more will to win. And at the end of the day, skill for skill, I do think the grappling is going to come into play. And I do think the pace is going to win him the fight. So I'll take Estevam, potentially even. I know Zhalgas is tough, but potentially even for a late finish like Estevam does to a fair amount of guys.
Yeah, I was thinking about the round 3 also. How about you, Dan?
I mean, listen, man, I'm not in the business of picking Zhalgas to win UFC fights. The guy's 1-5 in the UFC. You can call the last 2 robberies all you want. If you go on MMA decisions, it's pretty funny. I'm like the only guy that scored the Molina fight for Molina, and I'm the only guy that scored the Johnson fight for Johnson. And I stick by that, bro. I'll tell you why. Molina outstruck him like 2-1 on total strikes. And Johnson, if you watch that fight closely, like all the shots that Zhalgas was throwing were hitting off shoulder, were hitting off elbow. He was swinging at air. I mean, like, and then you look at Johnson's shots, they were popping his head back. So Johnson clearly landed the cleaner strikes, and Molina outstruck him 2-1. So I didn't think he won either of those fights. And it's kind of like what you were talking about, where he won those robberies against Tagir, Tyson Nam, Bagotinov. I was like, damn, well, karma's a real thing right now. But it sucks. He seems like a nice guy. He's got 7 wives, which is something we could all aspire to have. So I respect him. You know, my buddy Cody Durden trained with him. Cody had nice things to say. So if you're buddies with him, I'm cool with you. But listen, man, Rafael Estevam's too physical for him. Like y'all were talking about, he's relentless with the takedowns, comes from Novo and Yao. So if there's a question of how's his level really, I mean, when you train with Jose Aldo, Leo Santos, and all those guys, I know you're going to be on the level. So maybe down the line, we can talk about fading him, but not against a guy that's, 5'4" with a 66-inch reach like my nephew. You hold his head back while he's swinging at you. You give him a noogie, but at the end of the day, you don't pick him to win UFC fights. So I got Rafael Estevam.
I like the nephew thing, Dan. But all right, we can move on. All of us kind of on the same page. Next up, we've got Ikram Aliskerov versus Phil Hawes. Aliskerov 13-1-0, 30 years old, 6 feet tall with the 76-inch reach. Hawes 12-4-0. He's going to be 4 years older, same height. He's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage. Kill cliff for him, Sanford. Start us off, Lucrative. What you got?
This is kind of an annoying fight since I wanted to play Phil Hawes when he was out at plus 235, 245. And I know you like those openers, Couch, so I don't know if you've bet on Phil Hawes, but okay, you haven't bet on him. But I know you always get those great lines. So when I saw that great line, I was like, damn, I wish I would have got that, because I would have played Phil Hawes at 240. I mean, it's not hard for me to bet a plus 240 in MMA. But now it's down at like 180. Then I was like, oh, I don't know. And now it's 175. I'm probably going to pass. But I do think Phil Hawes has a decent shot of maybe exposing Aliskerov here, just in terms of his takedown defense is very elite. I do think so. Obviously, he hasn't been fighting the wrestler of a caliber of Aliskerov, but I still think Phil Hawes is extremely strong individual and a good wrestler in his own right. So I wouldn't be surprised if he defends some takedowns from Aliskerov here, and then it's on the feet. And I think Phil Hawes is a better striker. The reason I didn't play plus 180, is a big number in itself, is because I cannot trust Phil Hawes. I can't trust his gas tank, and I can't trust his chin. You can never trust the Phil Hawes chin. If this dude gets touched on the chin once, he does the chicken dance. So how am I going to bet on him in an MMA fight? I know Askarov is more of a wrestler, but at the end of the day, I don't think it takes much to crack Phil Hawes' chin. So I'm actually going to pick Aliskerov because I feel like it can be close early. Aliskerov can't get him taken down. Phil Hawes is looking great value, and he gets touched once and he wobbles, maybe gets taken down. And if Aliskerov does get on top of him, I don't know how he looks from his back. I've never seen it on tape, so he could just get dominated there, So I'm going to pick Aliskerov. It's kind of annoying because I kind of want to bet Phil Hawes, but I'm not going to do it.
All right. How about you, Dan?
What was my boy Spliff think? Is he sleeping on this one?
Yep.
Yeah, so we got to go with the Russian here, man. I mean, listen, Phil Hawes has literally everything I want in a fighter except a chin. I mean, D1 wrestling, one-punch knockout power. He's a freak athlete. He's good everywhere, like if Phil Hawes had a chin, I would 100% bet him here at these odds. And even without a chin, he might still win this fight. It's just that, not having a chin in the UFC, plus he's coming off like, didn't his knee just get torn badly from that heel hook? I mean, I'm going to go with the Russian, but the Russian ain't all that. Let me just tell you all that right now. And if the Russian thinks he's just going to come out here and out wrestle Phil Hawes, he might lose. You know what I'm saying? Phil Hawes is a D1 wrestler, man. But the thing is, 4-ounce gloves. Don't be surprised if Phil gets wobbled with a jab, right? So, yeah, pure pick Ikram, but I'm in no rush to bet it. It's a dog or pass situation, even with Phil Haas's chin being where it's at.
Did you guys know Haas's nickname is No Hype?
Yeah, I thought it was Megatron, but yeah.
So did I, but No Hype. What the fuck is that? But all right, yeah. So normally I'm always on Phil Haas. I bet him pretty much every single fight, I think, except let me look at it. No, I bet on him all of them. Bestayev on the Contender Series. I bet on him against Malkoun, Imavov, Dawkins. Lost on Curtis. I was there live. Bet him against Win. Lost on the Delete Say. So I backed him literally every single time, except the Marquez fight. I wasn't around yet. That was 2017. He's a great striker. I think Hawes is a really good striker. He's shown that against Chris Curtis. He was teeing off, and then he gets countered, like you guys were talking about with the chin. I'm normally one to kind of throw that away and be like, oh, it's just one fight. He got knocked out, or it's just 2 fights. And I did that with the Rosa fight, and look how that worked out for me.
Well, that was like 10 fights.
I think it was an early stoppage, but at the end of the day, he got clipped in round 1, just like everybody said he would. And I doubted it, and I was proven wrong. So I'm trying to adjust a little bit. And either way, I mean, I bet Aliskerov even before that fight. I bet him pretty early. Parlayed him with our guy Evloev, who is now gone. So I've got a 2-unit bet on Aliskerov. The one thing with Hawes is like, yeah, he's got great takedown defense. We've never really seen him on his back. But the only fight he's ever been shot on in the UFC was Kyle Dawkins. The only time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fights he's been shot on in one fight. Dawkins, 7 takedown attempts, missed all of them. Dawkins is great, but Dawkins is also on the regional scene now for a reason. So I don't think you can really bank on that too much. I think Aliskerov is a much, much better wrestler. And I do think the sub is live. He's very good on top. Hawes, I know, does practice a lot of BJJ. I know he does compete. I've seen a little bit of it. I think Aliskerov wins. Method, I really can't tell you because the chin is gone with Hawes. Not gone, but the chin is questionable with Hawes. I wouldn't say Aliskerov is some kind of beast on the feet that he can just knock this guy out clean, but he's pretty good on the feet. And I think that mixed in with the wrestling should pull off the fight for him. But that said, I wouldn't risk too much because I do respect Hawes a little bit more than other people do. So that's what I'm thinking. And we can move right along. Oh, this is the main event of the evening. We got Parker Porter versus Braxton Smith. Can't believe I'm going to be live for this. Porter's 13-8-0, 38 years old. He's 6 feet tall at the 75-inch reach. Smith, 5-1-0, 33. He's 5 years younger. He's 5'11". So that's 2 inches shorter.
1 inch shorter.
1 inch shorter. I'm not a math guy, Dan. There's a reason I'm in law school. But yeah, I don't have his camp. And Dan, why don't you start us off? You got Braxton here?
I mean, bro, when I heard Tony Braxton was making a UFC debut, it just brought back memories of my childhood. But, the reality here, man, is it's KO or bust for Braxton in the spot. And I mean, the KO's very live. Parker has not only been knocked out his last fight, but been knocked out a handful of times. But what does Braxton look like off his back? What happens if someone tries to take Braxton down? What happens when Braxton goes past the first round? What happens when Braxton fights under those lights and he's no longer against someone that has a losing record? We don't know. So for all those reasons, I'm going to go with the favorite here, but I'm not in the business of laying minus 190. Oh, it came down a little bit, minus 175 now. Still not really interested, but the pure pick is Parker Porter just because of the experience. But, I mean, would I be shocked if he got laid out? No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I hopped in relatively early. I got Porter at minus 130, which I thought was a fair price. I put it enough to win 1 unit. I mean, Braxton is just like, what the fuck? You watch him and you're like, why is he here? I don't know why he's here. I really can't tell you. They probably just need another fight. Like, he fought in 2014 against Chase Sherman, disappears, comes back in 2022, has like 5 fights, all of them end in the first round against Cans. And we really don't know much, but what I can tell from the tape is he's not a good striker. That's for sure. Is Parker Porter some kind of amazing boxer? No, he's not, but I know that he can put out output. I know that his striking is decent. And I can't say he has a grappling edge. I haven't really seen Braxton taken down and controlled, but I have a feeling that he is going to have that grappling edge. I know a lot of people are looking at Porter round 2 sub, because Braxton's never been out of round one. That's something I'm thinking about as well. I might just end up sticking with my money line. I think minus 130 was a pretty good price to fade this guy Braxton, and I'm just going to sit with that probably. How about you, Lucrative?
Yeah, minus 130 is a great price, bro. So well done there, and you've beat the line by a lot. So again, well done. You can even hedge with Braxton round one because I feel like that's going to be his only win condition. Like you said, he first made his MMA debut at 2014 against none other than Chase Sherman, right? Got knocked out in 2 minutes, then stopped fighting MMA for 8 years. Comes back 8 years later, decides he wants to be a fighter again, and then has 5 fights in a 12-month span. Not only that, this is even more weirder. In his third fight, he fought someone called Jacare Savage, who was 2-0 at the time, right? Knocks him out in 49 seconds. 6 months later, rematches him and knocks him out in 44 seconds. And that was the fight that got him a call up to be in the UFC on a pay-per-view. Something fishy is going on here. I don't know what if Braxton Smith has the lowdown on Dana White's personal life or something, but it's such a strange signing, honestly. I will say, though, that he does have a shot to get a first-round knockout. It's heavyweight. The dude seems like he's got a lot of power. Sometimes the regional scene power and the UFC power does not translate, but sometimes it does. And Parker Porter just got sent to the Shadow Realm not long ago, so, I mean, who knows? Could happen again. Obviously, I'm taking Parker Porter. I mean, I don't think you can't take Parker Porter in this spot, and I'm taking him inside the distance. You know, I think some form of under or doesn't go to decision is, I don't want to say the L word, but it's basically a lock in this spot. So, yeah, I'm going to take Parker Porter. I may even bet him at minus 170. I really don't want to, but I'll probably just take inside the distance or something if I'm going to do it. But this Braxton dude should not be here, and I feel like I should get some money for that obvious fact, you know? So we'll see how I'm going to play it. But, yeah, Parker Porter inside the distance for me.
Yeah, I thought maybe he was like a New Jersey boy or something, but he's totally from Texas, so I don't know what he's doing here. How about you, Dan?
I'm already going Parker Porter. Just the experience.
Oh, yeah. You went first. Sorry, my bad. All right, next
Man,
up.
y'all got some good weed over there, bro.
Hey, I haven't even smoked yet. That's the worst part.
Hey, is that true spliff?
No answer.
Yeah.
I'll be sparking up soon, though. I'm just waiting for the right time. All right. Marina Rodriguez versus Virna Jandiroba. This one has Twitter split. It's crazy. Marina 16-2-2, 36. She's 5'6" at the 65-inch reach. Jandiroba 18-3-0. She's going to be 3 inches shorter. 1 inch reach disadvantage for her. I'll start us off. Look, I get the hesitation with Marina, why a lot of people like Jandiroba. They think that she can get held down. Like, throw away the good jiu-jitsu fighters like Dern. Throw her out the window. She got taken down by Jan. I get it. She got held down by Jan. I get it. I don't think Jandiroba is going to have that much success with the grappling. I don't. I think she'll get her down maybe 2-3 times, and then Marina will get back up, survive. I don't think Jandiroba is as dangerous as someone like Dern is. We saw Marina almost get killed pretty much on the ground against Dern, but survive. And on the feet, I don't think it's even close. Like, I've really tried to keep going back and back because I have a big bet on Marina. A lot of people I know are on Jandiroba, and I'm just looking back at it. I'm like, what are they seeing that I'm not seeing? And I don't know. I think Marina is going to keep it on the feet, and I think she's going to kill this woman on the feet. I really do. I think a knockout's maybe even live. I didn't see a reason to play props. She was minus 145 when I played her, and I thought that was a gift. I know some people got minus 125. I put 3 units on her. Look, it's going to suck if I'm there live and she's just getting held down for 3 rounds. I just don't think it's going to happen. She's not Angela Hill. I really don't. And like I said, on the feet, it's all her. So for me, it's Marina. How about you, Lucrative?
Yeah, I'm actually on the other side. I'm actually on Jandiroba here. So the line movement's been crazy on this one. I played Jandiroba at plus 160, and she's like pick'em now. I thought the fight should be about pick'em. That's why I played plus 160. Striker versus grappler matchup. It's not too hard to break this fight down. Marina's going to want to keep it on the feet. Virna's going to want to take it down. The stat that stood out to me, and obviously on tape as well when you go back and watch it, is that Marina Rodriguez has been taken down, I think, in her last 6 or 7 fights in a row. There hasn't been a fight where she hasn't been taken down. So I don't see why, against the grappler who pursues takedowns, that's going to change here. She's going to get taken down in this fight. When she does get taken down, I actually think Virna Jandiroba is probably top 2 in terms of jiu-jitsu skill set that she's ever had on top of her, Marina Rodriguez. So for that reason, I do feel like if she does get her down, a finish maybe not too possible, just because I was really impressed with how Marina stays safe on the ground. Even against Mackenzie Dern, she seemed really tough. But I do feel like that a takedown is probably around, or even a potential 10-8. Maybe she's doing damage, maybe a little bit less 10-8 because she does hunt subs more than ground and pound. But I just feel like a takedown could be around here. So I'm banking on the grappler in this spot. But, I'm excited to see the fight play out because it's going to be a fun one, I think.
All right, 1-1. How about you, Dan?
Well, Marina's been taken down in 9 of her 11 UFC fights, right? And you said in your breakdown, Mike, you said you think that Virna is going to take Marina down 2 or 3 times, which I'm actually surprised you said that, and you're still picking Marina for the sole fact that it might only take 2 takedowns to win this fight. And that's assuming that she doesn't get a sub, right? That's assuming that, well, we saw Marina survive on the mat with Mackenzie Dern. So hopefully, she can survive on the ground here with Virna. But the thing about it, man, surviving, that's one thing, but are you going to get back up and be able to implement your game? Because like you said, bro, 2 or 3 takedowns, that might be the fight right there. But in my opinion, man, she has shown that she's good at surviving these spots. The only issue I have is that when you date back, because I used to bet on Marina every single fight up until the Ribas fight. And a couple of those fights, like the Marcos fight and the Calvillo fight, dude, we had that shit in the bag, and then she just fucked up in round 3, couldn't get up, was taking a lot of damage, but Marina's super tough. So, she didn't just cover up and quit, but she got 10-8'd in both of those fights, right? Even the Esparza fight was super frustrating because all the damage was done by Marina. She just can't get up from bottom. So that's my concern. But I know on the feet, she's way better than Virna. And another thing, Virna tends to slow down in a lot of these fights. Even the one against Ribas, the only thing is Ribas is a legit black belt. Marina is probably a blue belt. You know what I mean? Not that there's anything wrong with that. That it's a blue belt that survived on the mat with Mackenzie Dern. So you love to see it. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I'm a lean Marina, but the way I'm talking, it's a dog or pass situation.
Yeah, I definitely get what you were saying. When I said 2 or 3 takedowns, I just feel like she's not as bad as people are saying in terms of getting back up. And I also feel like Jandiroba is just not she's not the same as a Mackenzie Dern, right? The physicality is not the same. Dern, I understand she's one of these people who's a great BJJ person, but doesn't shoot a lot of takedowns. She did shoot 9 times in that fight and only got 1 of them. She did hold her down after that. But again, Mackenzie Dern and Jandiroba, in my opinion, I know their jiu-jitsu, credentials-wise, is actually pretty similar. I just think in terms of MMA, what we've seen in the UFC, it's not that similar. So I just feel like she's not going to get controlled. But I definitely see your guys' arguments. I definitely see both sides. James, you said plus 160 on Jandiroba. That I think is pretty solid. At this point, I really like Marina. Minus 144. I know I mentioned earlier, minus 125. I think that's great for Marina. But if you got plus 160, I can't blame you because the grappling is there. And Marina's going to have to get up. She's going to have to get up.
Here's my thing, man. We know that Marina can survive, right? And just jiu-jitsu is about surviving. So that's badass that we know she can survive. But can you point to specific examples of her getting back up in recent fights? That's where I'm struggling to lock it in, because my memories are her getting held down, not getting back up. She's surviving, which is great. I love the toughness, but can she actually get back up? That's the real question, and that's why I can't make a bet on this one.
Yeah, there's only one thing of that, right? It's the Jan fight. She did get back up, but Jan is not.
Jan was a white belt at the time.
Yeah, Jan's here's Jandiroba, here's Jan. So not comparable. And I definitely get it. Makes a lot of sense, but I just think she's going to keep it on the feet enough to get that either finish or a win. But we can move on. This next one is it's a fight. We got Khaos Williams versus Rolando Bedoya. Williams 13-3-0. He's 29 years old. 6 feet tall with the 77-inch reach. Bedoya 14-1-0. Don't have his age. Pretty sure he's young. He's 1 inch shorter. He's going to have a 2-inch reach disadvantage. James, why don't you start us off, man?
It's kind of strange that they are giving Chaos Williams the Bedoya fight, or they're giving Bedoya the Chaos Williams fight, because I feel like we could have some fun fights with this Bedoya guy. You know, he looks quite fun. He'll throw very a wide arsenal of attacks, right? He'll throw like uppercuts, hooks, spinning back kicks, flying knees, all of that sort of stuff. But he doesn't have great defense, and on top of that, he doesn't have great defense in the pocket, which is where Chaos thrives. We know what Chaos is about now. The dude has one punch knockout power. Remember his debut and the fight after that, one of the most scariest knockouts in the octagon, Razak Al Hassan lifting him up off 2 feet. You don't see that often. And I think he's going to clip him here. You know, I don't really see a world in which Rolando just goes 15 minutes without getting clipped. So in my opinion, he kind of has to finish him. And I mean, Chaos, this dude has an iron chin. You know, if you've got an iron chin and an iron fist, you will go far in MMA. And I don't think like his skill set is that good, Chaos Williams, in terms of he's well-rounded, he does this well, he does that well. But I think that his what he does well, he does really well. And I just think he's going to catch Rolando on the chin here, man. I'm going to look for some form of KO prop. I think it's going to come early. I don't really see this fight playing out late. Maybe they want to get Chaos Williams a big knockout on a pay-per-view, because other than that, I really struggled to see why they didn't put this Rolando guy in with someone who could test him a little bit more and, you know, maybe doesn't have that one punch power, because we could get a great back and forth fight at a night type fight, because that's what this dude's about. But I've seen him rocked badly on the regional scene as well. So that's just another feather in the cap of why I'm betting on, or why I'm looking to bet on Chaos Williams. So Chaos Williams round 1 KO is my official prediction.
All right, makes sense, Dan. I love that your dog just pulled up, grabbed some quick pets, and then went back to the couch.
Gotta love it, man. Man's best friend. I mean, listen, bro, I'm a big fan of this Bedoya kid, but he's in the wrong weight class. He should be at 155 pounds. You can just see that by seeing his physique, you know. But I'm a huge fan. I mean, like, dude trains with someone else on this card, you know, Daniel Willie Catch Santos. You know, trains with Charles Oliveira, trains with all those guys that shoot the box, has that shoot the box style. So he's going to come in here, kill or be killed. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be killed. But, I mean, I'd love to see this kid at 55. Like, if he can drop those 15 pounds, like, you know, just change up some habits in his life, man. I mean, who knows what he could be at 55, because, like, he's clearly in the wrong weight class, but he's exciting. He comes to fight. We know the deal with Chaos, man. He's just solid. He's that kind of dude, like, you crack him, you probably break your hand, right? And then he cracks you, and, like, you know, you got the flashlight in your eyes. They bring out the smelling salts. You know, they bring out the stretcher. It's like that. So it's going to probably be a Chaos knockout, but I'm excited to see if this kid, you know, decides to, like, take things seriously. Like, you made it to the UFC at 70, which is crazy, bro, because you're in the wrong fucking weight class. I mean, that's almost as crazy as Charles Johnson making it to the UFC with that thing on the back of his head. So, yeah, hopefully he drops to 55 next fight, and we can, you know, assess the situation going forward. But in this fight, I got Chaos Williams.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to add. I don't think Bedoya is very good. Watching back his tape, like, he's exciting, yeah, but he's so hittable. And if you're hittable, you're screwed against Chaos Williams. Can he knock him out? We've seen it a few times now. These guys come in from the Brazilian regional scene or something like that. They're the big underdog, and then they pull up and they look fantastic. They either win or lose a split. I'm thinking about the Murphy Santos fight is the one that came to mind.
The Tukuga fight too.
That's another one. I'm just Eldarov.
Elvis Brenner.
Elvis Brenner. So those things kind of throw me off, but in terms of just looking at the matchup and actually breaking it down, I think Williams is going to kill him, man. I think he's going to catch a body on Saturday. I really do. I just don't see it. Bedoya has to knock him out, and I don't think he can. He's wrestled before, but I really, really, really don't think that's going to be a path here. So I think he gets finished. What I did was I played the under 1.5, which I almost never do. I don't like under 1.5s. I hate them. But I played it for a half unit at plus 125 just because I do think it's going to be pretty quick. I think it's going to be a quick job for Chaos. And I've got him parlayed up. Forget about it. Had him with Evloev. That's down the drain now. Now I have just an unnecessary amount of money on Chaos. But I think he pulls this off. So I'm on Chaos. Chaos by round 1 knockout is my prediction. But the bet is just Williams at this point. We can move right along. Next up, we've got Devin Clark versus Kennedy Nzechukwu. Clark 14-7-0. He's 33, 6 feet tall with the 75-inch reach. I know he trains up in Denver. I don't know if either of you guys know exactly what camp. I think he's at high altitude MMA, but I honestly can't keep up. I feel like guys are at elevation, high altitude. There's another one that I'm missing out on right now. So I'm not positive, but I'm going to go with high altitude. Nzechukwu, 11-3-0. He's going to be 3 years younger, 5 inches taller. He's going to have hold on with my math, 6-inch reach advantage. Fortis MMA is what it says. In terms of his Instagram, I couldn't really place him, so I'm going to stick with Fortis.
That's correct.
Why don't you start us off, Dan?
Yeah, no, he is at Fortis MMA. He's been there like a long ass time, but I mean, like, dude, I'm just gonna tell everyone listening, maybe don't listen to my opinion on this one because, like, I've been really disrespectful towards Devin Clark his entire career. I mean, granted, you know, he is a 500 fighter, so I've been right 50% of the time, but like, I just am not high on his skill set at all. I heard people talking about how his last fight against Dawoon Jung was this, you know, like breakthrough performance. Like, dude, he landed less than 40 strikes. Like, what are you talking about? Dawoon Jung landed less than 20 strikes. Like, stop. The only issue is that Kennedy, like, is a very slow starter. He'll let you get a lead on him every single fight. So yeah, Devin's probably going to push him up against the fence, probably going to land a couple takedowns. My only issue is that, like, if I were to pick Devin, is Devin's chin is extremely suspect as far as I'm concerned. Someone might disagree with me, but I think his chin's suspect. And I also just am never like been a fan of his style, like kind of just spastic, runs in, chin straight up in the air, kind of like Derek Brunson, just not as good as Derek Brunson. Yeah, I think Devin probably wins the first round, and then Kennedy catches him at some point, whether it's like a long man guillotine. I mean, we're talking about a dude who's 6'5" with an 83-inch reach, whether it's a knee, an elbow, an uppercut, whatever it may be. I think he's going to catch Clark at some point in this fight. But I think early on, Clark probably pushes him up against the fence, and it's like, wow, Clark is doing well. And then, nope, he gets caught. So I'm going to go Kennedy and Nzechukwu.
Yeah, I have to favor Kennedy here. I had a hard time getting to him at minus 190. I kind of have him in a similar boat to Erosa. Not that he's chinny, but just that he's not very trustworthy. But, like, I tried to fade Devin Clark big time with Jung. That did not go very well. He ended up just not doing anything. And Clark ended up pulling up the decision. I lost, like, I think 4.5 units or something on that. Wasn't fun, but Devin Clark, like, he's a really good wrestler, yes, but Nzechukwu, he's huge, first of all. As someone who has wrestled in the past, my personal opinion was I hated wrestling people taller than me because every time I would take their ass down, they would just tripod and it would be incredibly difficult to get them back down. So I do think it's going to be hard for Clark to keep this guy down, Nzechukwu. And on the feet, I don't even think it's comparable. Like, I rate Clark's striking as just serviceable. I think Nzechukwu is a pretty good striker. He's got that length, that size. He's very good in the clinch, which I think is going to be important here because Clark is going to be pushing him up against the fence the whole time. What does that mean? It means he has time in the clinch to work if he's not getting taken down. And I think he can really hurt Clark. At range, I don't think it's even a question. I think it's all Nzechukwu. I just think it's hard to back the guy at minus 190. But I'm not really doing much here. I think I'm staying off for the most part. I did play the under plus 125 for a half unit. No. Yeah, plus 114 for a half unit. The under 2.5 is what I did. What are you thinking, Lucrative?
Yeah, I'm going to say that both you guys are correct in the prediction. I think Kennedy's going to get a finish, actually. You know, I think once he gets into the second and third round, I think he's going to take over. Like Dan said, oftentimes early in Kennedy fights, he lets you get a lead on him and he doesn't really win the first round, or he just takes a while to warm up, you know. And I do think that in this fight, it's going to be the same. I think he may be getting held against the cage a little bit, maybe even taken down once or twice. But Kennedy has good scrambles. He's a very tall guy. So, again, just inherently kind of hard to take down. And I don't think Clark can last with him on the feet for the whole 15 minutes. So I think Kennedy's going to be poking the body. I think he's going to be throwing elbows in tight, good hooks. And I do think he finds a finish in round 2 or round 3.
What do you guys think about Kennedy opening as a dog? Would you have hit that if you had the time?
Yeah.
If I had the time, the limits, the availability.
The limits are good on Bet Online now. I'm not even a big better, but I know that I think they raised it to like 10K for most things.
Yeah. I mean, if that like plus 160 or whatever you said it was had a 10K limit, then if I knew that, but I think there was only like a 30-second window. You know what I'm saying? So, it's all good. Cut our losses.
But
Yeah,
man, you say 10K limits, but like I'm usually asleep when the openers come. They come at
Right.
different times, but mostly when I'm asleep over in New Zealand. But I sometimes put $300 on a bet online line, and they don't let me bet it. So I don't know who's getting these 10K limits because I haven't been able to do that.
yeah, I can't attest to them. I don't have 10K to bet on fights. I'm just talking off what I've heard from people who do have the money, but I don't know. Can't really speak to it without personal experience. I do know the lines didn't last. I think it lasted like all of 10 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
We can move on. I've got a spot I like here. We got Drew Dober versus Matt Frevola. Dober 26, 11-0. He's 34, 5'8" with the 70-inch reach. Believe he trains at elevation. Not exactly positive.
He does.
You guys know any better? He does, right, Dan?
Yes.
Frevola 10-3-1. He's going to be 2 years younger, 1 inch taller. He's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage. No, 3-inch height advantage, 1 inch reach advantage. And for him, I'm pretty sure he's training out of Long Island somewhere. Why don't you start us off, Dan?
1 inch height advantage, 1 inch reach advantage, and he trains at Serra Longo with well, actually, does he? Yeah, he does, right? With Sterling and Iaquinta and all of them.
To an extent, for sure, yeah.
I think he might like do some cross training because I think he also like trains with like Billy Q and them. So yeah, but either way, he's over there with in New York and stuff. And listen, I got a lot of respect for Frevola, man. I mean, this is a dude that like even if you watch his debut against Polo Reyes where he gets knocked out and Polo Reyes tests positive for like Mexican steroids, like Frevola goes for it, bro. Like Frevola, one thing about him, he always goes for it. So like as a fan, I mean, you tip your cap to a guy like Frevola. Also, he's got a great personality on Twitter. He seems like a really good guy. So yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of his. Good wrestling. Some underrated power. He's landed a lot of knockdowns. So he's also been knocked down a lot. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Frevola. I think more often than not, Drew Dober wins this fight, but there's definitely paths to Frevola, Dober, I mean, he's definitely gotten better in terms of like getting back up from bottom and stuffing, but it's still not up to par to his striking, but that's because his striking is so damn good. But I mean, Dober can also be cracked too, man. So it should be a really good fight. I think somewhere along the way, Dober probably cracks him properly and gets him out of there. But man, if it's a 3-round war, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what the scorecards say, especially in New Jersey, which is like down the street from where Frevola lives. So I'd be curious to see if it goes all three, but my pick is Drew Dober.
Yeah, we'll see if the whole hometown thing works out. Phil Hawes is from Jersey, so maybe that'll help him.
The thing is, he's going to probably be unconscious, so there's a difference,
Fair enough. But yeah, I mean, I'm on Frevola at plus 210. I put 2 units on it just because I thought it was incorrect. I didn't think the line was right. I think a lot of people are just hanging on to this thing of Frevola wanting to brawl. And I understand he's done it time and time again when we thought he wouldn't. Ottman Azaitar. I think I had Ottman there. I don't remember, but he literally said, I'm going to brawl with this guy. And everyone said, oh, he's just saying that. He's just saying that he's going to wrestle. And then he did it, and he got the knockout. If he really, truly does that again and says, I'm not wrestling, yeah, he's going to get probably going to get clocked and put to sleep. I agree. I just don't really think it's the case. Like, he hasn't always done that. Like, let's look at the Jalen Turner fight, who I think hits extremely hard. Held him up against the fence for almost the entire fight. Extremely boring fight. But he did what he had to do to win. He can wrestle. He's a very good wrestler. And you look at Dober, guy got taken down, I think it was 4 times against blanking right now.
Brad Riddell.
Thank you. Brad Riddell. To me, like, if you're getting taken down by Brad Riddell, even if you're not getting controlled a lot, like, I think that Matt Frevola will be able to take you down. So it all comes down to me. It comes down to fight IQ. Is Matt going to fight this smart? At plus 210, I'm more than willing to take that risk. I really do think that he's got a very, very good shot at winning this fight if he wrestles. If he gets knocked out, all right. I get it. I accept it. I understand it. But I just think that he's smart enough where he's going to grapple. And I think that his striking is good. The problem that everybody's talking about that's legit is the chin. But I think he's going to be all right. So I took Frevola. I did put 2 units on it, plus 210. A little bit of a risky bet, but I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong here. How about you, Lucrative?
I actually think Dober's going to get the knockout. I don't know if Frivola's just going to straight up brawl like he has done in his last fights. Shout out to the Club and Sub podcast. I was speaking to John from there, and he said that he spent some time with Frevola at one of the UFC fights once upon a time. And he was just speaking to him, and then they got into discussion like, why do you always brawl, man? Like, you're a good wrestler. And he said straight to John, right? He said, man, every time we put a game plan for me to go in there and wrestle, and I am going to wrestle, but when I get in there, I'm like, you know what? I just want to brawl. And you can see that in his fights. I believe him. Oftentimes, a lot of these fighters say stuff in interviews, and I just don't pay no attention. But you can see that's what happens. He just gets in there, and he's like, you know what? I'm just going to crack, man. And he's a fan favorite. That's why we all love him. And if he does that in this fight, I do think he's going to go to sleep. The thing is the durability difference between Drew Dober and Frivola's last opponents is on another level. I mean, Gennaro Valdez. I mean, this dude is another kill or be killed fighter, but Drew Dober, they call him the fire hydrant head. His head is like a brick. It's very hard to knock this dude out. Same with Ottman Azaitar. He's not as durable as Drew Dober. And I think if they're going blow for blow, it doesn't need a rocket scientist to break down what's going to happen there, right? And so if Frevola does come in with a takedown game plan, which he should do, and which I do think once he gets hit once or twice, he probably will resort to that if he isn't knocked out by then. I don't think he's going to be able to do that for 15 minutes. And what I mean by that is I think Drew Dober is going to get back up to his feet at times. He can be taken down, but he still has a good get-up game and a good guard. I think you need to be a very, very high-level grappler to just dominate him from top position like Islam Makhachev done. And even Islam Makhachev, it took him to the 3rd round to sub him. He couldn't get much offense off. And so I feel like Frevola may take him down once or twice, but Drew Dober will get back up to his feet. And I just think the danger in this fight is when Drew Dober is on his feet against Frevola. I think that danger is going to outlast any 15-minute grinding decision from Frevola. So I'm taking Drew Dober, and I'm taking him by knockout.
All right. How about you, Dan?
I picked Dober as well.
Did you go before me?
Yeah, it's that weed, bro. I'm telling you.
I only drank before. I didn't smoke.
All good, bro. We love you.
But all right. Hey, man, I don't give a fuck. It happens. All right. Next up, we got Kron Gracie versus Charles Jourdain. Gracie, 5-1-0. He's 34 years old, 5'9" with the 70-inch reach. He's training out in Minnesota right now. I don't know the name of the gym. Jourdain, 13-6-1. He's going to be 7 years younger, same height, 1-inch reach disadvantage. For him, I honestly don't know his camp. Do you guys know?
Who is Jourdain?
Mm-hmm.
Something in Canada. He's still with his people.
That's all I know. Yeah, I'm right about the Minnesota thing with Gracie, right? I did like a whole deep dive into like his family thing, so I'm pretty sure I'm right. I know like him and his pops have some disagreements, so he dipped his dad's gym, went to Minnesota. His pops doesn't know how he's doing over there. Hard to know what he's doing, but the way I approached this one was I took Gracie. I took Gracie by sub at plus 215, I think, and I took Gracie by sub in round 1 at plus 500. The total stake is just a half unit. I'm not very confident just because I haven't seen the guy since 2019. He's out in Minnesota training without his family with people who I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's good at right now. His last Instagram post is like 35 weeks ago. So it's very difficult to really put a lot of money on him. The reason I did is because Charles Jourdain, to me, bad takedown defense is already very proven. And he's getting his back taken a lot in a lot of fights. If I'm not mistaken, Burgos took his back. So
correct.
If Gracie takes him down, I think it's clipped. If he fights like he did against Cub Swanson, where he kind of tries but not really, and then just stands there, I think he's going to get knocked the hell out. So the fight doesn't go. Decent parlay piece, I guess. I didn't do it myself, so I'm not going to sit here and say do it. I think it's a decent spot. I don't really see us going to the decision here, unless like Gracie's like grappling and stuff. But like wrestling over and over again, which I don't see. So I just went with Gracie. I went with Gracie sub round 1. That's what I think happens here, but can't put a lot. Don't know a lot. So that's what I'm thinking. How about you, Lucrative?
Yeah, it's a strange fight. Gracie took 4 years off. I think 3.5 years or something. And he's 33, 34 years old now. So he basically took the time off during his prime, his athletic prime, around that 31 years of age. So it's just strange to see him coming back. And against Jourdain, Jourdain's a good fighter. I do think Gracie has some upside in the division just because his jiu-jitsu is so high level. And I'm actually looking forward to Dan speak about this because maybe he can shed some more light on Kron Gracie as a jiu-jitsu guy, because Dan, I know you're a jiu-jitsu guy. And, looking back on Kron Gracie's jiu-jitsu career, I mean, the guy, of course, he's a Gracie, but super high level. The dude tapped out Gary Tonin. And I watched that jiu-jitsu competition. I think it was in ADCC back in 2013 or something. And that was a good fight. It was a great fight, a good story behind it. He got the submission with like 2 seconds to go. He was down on the scorecards. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets the fight to the ground, because I think he's going to run through Charles Jourdain. It's just, will he get the fight to the ground? We saw in the Cub Swanson fight where he couldn't do it, but Cub has this way of like just dancing around the octagon. Jourdain's not that type. He walks straight forward into the fire. So I think it's going to be easier to take Jourdain down than it was Swanson. But it's kind of like I was going to say like the Cejudo thing, but not even. I mean, there's even more question marks on Kron Gracie. We know Cejudo is an absolute winner. He's obviously has been training for a long time, whereas Kron Gracie, I don't even know where his head's at or anything. So I'm actually going to pick Kron Gracie, though, just because, I don't know, I just want to be contrarian. And also, I just feel like, the jiu-jitsu discrepancy is just ridiculous. Like you said, Burgos got his back. I've seen him being put in some bad positions on the mat. I don't think he can hang with Gracie for 1 minute at all. And so Gracie only needs one takedown or something. And he'll just jump on your back from standing. So I'm going to take Kron Gracie. I'm going to say he gets an upset, but I probably won't be playing it. If I do, I'll just do what you did. I'll just avoid the money line and go straight to submission because, any Gracie via submission at plus money is probably going to be a decent bet. So, yeah, that's my pick, but no confidence, of course.
Yeah, before I pass the mic to Dan, the one thing I can offer narrative-wise is I'm getting tickets through the Gracies. My brother works for his boss, whatever, who's tight with them. So I'm getting a ticket through them. I know they're all going to be there. Not all. I know a lot of them are going to be there. I don't know how that's going to affect anything with Kron Gracie. He's not tight with his family, as far as I can tell. I don't know if that's going to be additional pressure or if that's a good thing. I don't know if he's been training with them recently. I don't know if he flew in early because, like I said, his Instagram last post we got was 35 weeks ago. So thought it was worth mentioning. I mean, the guy's family is going to be there. I know that for sure, but I don't know what effect that's going to have. So how about you, Dan?
I mean, Mike, I wouldn't even worry about that shit. What I'd worry about as you, who's someone who has money on Gracie, is Gracie going to take him down or not? That's the only thing that matters. Who gives a fuck if his family's in attendance or not? Can he get him down or not? That's all that should matter to you. And in 2 UFC fights, I mean, Kron's attempted 2 takedowns in both of those UFC fights. Didn't get a single one against Cub. And it's easy to I know Cub looked great and this and that, but dude didn't even try to take him down. He tried twice, 2 half-hearted takedown attempts. When that didn't work, he was like, all right, let's brawl. So, I mean, I respect the balls, but he does that here, and I think he's losing this fight. And I agree with y'all. I mean, if they put on the gi, even fuck the gi, even if they go no gi, yeah, Gracie's going to tap him out in pure jiu-jitsu, obviously. But, I mean, there's a reason we do jiu-jitsu is because we don't want to get hit in the face. And, I mean, Kron Gracie, he might be the exception because you saw that Cub Swanson fight. He was down to get hit. I mean, the dude stood up for 3 straight rounds. So, you can tell he's a true fighter. But, man, I really think that if he can't get Charles down, and it's not like Kron is that big of a takedown threat. It's just that one back take is all it takes, right? One past the full mount, and I doubt Charles is going to get back up, right? So that's what you have to worry about if you're picking Charles. But yeah, I am picking Charles. I'm not betting him, but I just don't see enough urgency on the takedowns from Kron to really be confident. And now that being said, we've seen Jourdain kick someone and fall, like in the Lando fight, right? So he might just slip and fall, and then from there he might be fucked. But man, I just think that based on what I've seen in Kron's 2 UFC fights, he's not that urgent for the takedown. He's down to brawl. coming off a layoff. I'd be more worried about, him having a big adrenaline dump than like who bought front row tickets or whatever. So I'm going to go Charles Jourdain via decision.
Just to clarify, I did not take that whole thing into consideration. It was just something I was talking about. I did mention early on, like, I do think Jourdain, like, he's going to knock him out if he doesn't get him down. So, and I don't know if he's gonna, because like I was talking about, I have no idea what he's doing in the gym. I have no idea what he's been doing that's keeping him active. So I am keeping the bet small. That's why I stuck to the sub rather than playing his money line. That's why I took the sub round 1, because I don't really think it happens outside of round 1. So that's what I stuck with, but definitely a lot of good points. And I really do think if he doesn't take him down, Jourdain's probably going to KO him. That's why I really like the under, even though I didn't play it. But we can move on. Getting a quick phone call. Sorry, guys. All right, next up, we've got Movsar Evloev versus his new opponent, Diego Lopez. Evloev, 16-0 undefeated. He's 29 years old, 5'7" with a 72-inch reach. He's at, let me double check, ATT. I'm pretty positive. Yeah, it's ATT. Lopez, 21, 5-0. He's going to be 1 year younger. He's going to be 4 inches taller. It's about the same reach. And as far as I can tell, he's out in Brazil training. So I don't know if you guys got to tape them. I think this fight got announced like today, I think. Mm-hmm. So I'll start with lucrative. If you guys don't know, like whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm not going to speak too much about this fight because I honestly didn't tape it. It only got announced 24 hours ago or whatever it was. Maybe not even that. So I'm going to pass.
All right, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, listen, y'all know Evloev's style already. He's a dude that can attempt a ridiculous amount of takedowns, just a really highly skilled Russian fighter. Diego Lopez, he's tall for the weight class. He's a jiu-jitsu guy. He's got some good submissions outside of the UFC. He's submitted some champions that are outside the UFC. Marco Psycho Beltran, a guy that's got a win over Chito long ass time ago. So, I mean, yeah, this dude definitely earned his spot. He's the dude that lost to Joe Anderson Brito on Contender Series. I mean, I think that Diego can probably survive to the decision. I just don't think he's going to win the fight. So I think Movsar via unanimous decision is probably the pick.
Yeah, I mean, like you guys, like I know Lopez just because I kind of remember him from doing the Contender Series fights. I didn't see his fights afterwards until I taped it today. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Like Evloev's probably going to freaking destroy this guy. I'm curious if they give us the over 1.5 rather than a 2.5. Because if they do that, I'd be pretty interested. Because Lopez has good jiu-jitsu. And I don't really see Evloev as like, I know he does have subs. He's got a good amount of them. He's pretty good on the ground. But I don't really see him submitting Lopez. So maybe an over 1.5 is what I'd look at. But I don't have the line, so I don't know. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Dan, I know you gotta play here. We got Jessica Andrade versus Jandiroba. Andrade, 24, 10-0. She's 31 years old, 5'1" with the 62-inch reach. PRVT is her camp. Jan, she's 16, 3-0. She's going to be 2 years older, 4-inch reach height advantage, a 1-inch reach advantage, training out of Team Alpha Male. Why don't you start us off, Dan?
Yeah, so this is my first bet of the night. I got Yan Xiaonan here. Just so y'all know, I bet on Yan Xiaonan literally every single UFC fight she's had. Like from her first fight with Kylan Kern, max bet at like -130 against Kylan Kern. Just think about that for a second, right? Because like, you know how I like to talk about that Tyler Santos bet I made when I bet her like -150 against Mara Romero Barella and she fucking lost. But like if her and Romero Barella like fought 10 times and you gave me -150 on Tyler Santos 10 times, I mean, I'm making that bet over and over and over. But someone who didn't pull a debut stunt was Yan Xiaonan. We got -130 against Kylan Kern. So anyways, I literally bet this chick every single fight. We're 7-2 for plus 13 units. And it's kind of between 37 to 40% ROI. So when you stuck a plus 160 in front of me, I mean, it was just like, okay, yeah, that's a system play. I mean, it's like, I'm not even thinking twice about it. I mean, yeah, there's certain things I'm concerned about, but like, if you watch that Blanchfield fight, I'm not even worried about Blanchfield tapping out Andrade. Let's talk about what happened on the feet. Blanchfield was tagging up Andrade with straight punches. What are Yan Xiaonan's best weapons? Obviously, the sidekick to the face. But when we're talking about hands, we're talking about the jab. We're talking about the cross. And she's going to have not as much of a reach advantage as, I thought, but still a little reach advantage, a nice little height advantage. Jessica's going to have to, close that distance. And when she does, she's going to get her head popped back. Jessica Andrade has the ability to bully these girls, though. I mean, she's definitely, these chicks ain't used to getting hit the way that Andrade hits. So it can definitely be a cause for concern. Like y'all saw, like even back at like UFC 199 when Jessica fought JoJo, and like JoJo's known for being like this long striker. And when she got tagged by Andrade, it was like in rush hour, like, which one of y'all hit me with that? So people get discouraged when they fight Andrade. But I think if there's someone that can match Andrade on how mean they are, it's Yan Xiaonan. And I think Yan's going to pop this chick's head back. So, yeah, are there concerns about maybe her getting taken down? Sure. But, I mean, I think that after that Carla fight, she put her ego to the side. She moved to California, got outside her comfort zone. Has been training with Song Yadong, Uriah Faber, all those guys. And ever since then, as a white belt, she survived on the mat with Mackenzie Dern. So that's got to increase her confidence to that next level. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but I just know at plus 160, it was a no-brainer for me. So 3 units, Yan Xiaonan plus 160.
3 units. That's no joke.
I mean, I almost did 5, but I decided not to get arrogant, so I'd put 3.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I've seen so many people like yourself, like people who know what they're talking about on Yan. And like I'm watching the tape, and I remember taping Andrade for the Murphy fight. And one of my things was I think Murphy might be too big and be able to land at range. If I thought that about fucking Lauren Murphy, I better respect Yan and her ability to land at range and maybe have a better just ability to land when they're further out. I mean, Andrade is 5'1", but then I'm watching the tape, and to me, it kind of feels like a favorite or pass because it feels like Yan has to be perfect. To me, it feels like she has to be perfect for 3 rounds because Andrade will have the output. She is going to have the damage. She is going to be stronger. I mean, I think that's just a fact. Maybe the damage shows different, but from what I've seen, I think it's going to show a lot more on Yan than it is going to on Andrade. And you didn't say this, Dan. You actually said the opposite, which is cool. But a lot of people I've seen are saying that Yan can grapple Andrade, which I think is completely incorrect and not the right way to look at this. If you think Yan wins, you think she keeps the range.
That's right.
She uses her output and her really good striking to win the fight. That's what I think how she wins and why I almost played her as a dog. My issue is watching Andrade back. I think if not for that Blanchfield fight, this line wouldn't even be close to similar. Like Blanchfield, I didn't expect her to have that success standing either, but she looked very much improved from what I've seen personally. And I just feel like Yan is going to be that good. She is that good. I have a really hard time trusting her for all 3 rounds. And I think that Andrade, if she wants to shoot, if she wants to wrestle, I think she can do that. I think a really similar fight was a Claudia Gadelha fight for Yan. I saw a very similar dynamic there. Yan did win, but I also think Andrade is better. If you want to do MMA math, Andrade killed Gadelha. But between that grappling and between that power, I can't bet Yan if I think she just has to be perfect, which is what I feel like is the case here. How about you, James?
Yeah, I'm also on Yan. I got her at the same price, plus 160 as Dan. And I share a lot of the same thoughts. I think the straight shots, the 1-2s, the boxing is really going to be the tail of this fight. I also will couple that with saying that Yan's footwork is going to be able to win her this fight because she circles out of range really well. She's never standing still. She plants her feet when she shoots, but then she's always on the move, And I feel like it could be one of those fights where Jessica Andrade is chasing her around the octagon, but isn't really able to pinpoint her. And when she is, Yan is also going to sit down in the pocket, be mean, like Dan said, and tag Andrade, So when they do collide, I think Yan can, maybe not hurt her as much, but actually, I'm going to say that. I think Yan can tag her and sting her as much as Andrade will tag her as well. And, I know you mentioned Andrade having more output, but I don't see it. I mean, I think Yan has very, very good output. One of the best in her division, actually. And I don't have the stats in front of me right now, but I think that she will definitely match the output of Andrade. Now, where I worry is takedowns winning rounds, not necessarily going to get on top of her and finish her. It wasn't a good look when she got dominated by Esparza, but we've never really seen Andrade just take someone down, mount them, dominate them, crucifix style. We haven't really seen that from Andrade, so I don't think that's going to happen here. Maybe the takedowns can swing rounds, But I mean, Andrade didn't even shoot a takedown in the first fight against, in the first round against Erin. So there's no guarantee she's just going to go out here shooting constant takedowns. The thing I'm worried about a little bit more is once the fight gets to the second and third round, I do feel like Andrade always comes on. You know, she's just so tough and she hits so hard. You know, shout out to my man Z's MMA, who I don't think he exists anymore. But when he did, he used to use the word hardware, right? And Jessica Andrade has a lot of hardware, right? She swings heavy in the pocket, good cardio. And I think if you go to a decision with Jessica Andrade, then she's always going to have big moments. She's always going to come on late in those fights, you know. Even against Joanna, she was catching her a little bit as the fight wore on. And then the Rose Namajunas fight, you know, she was getting to her in that third round. So I am a little bit worried, but at the end of the day, it's gambling. You're not going to have it perfect. You're going to be worried. And especially when you're betting a plus 160, you're going to have some things that are not, you know, going to go in your favor. So, yeah, but I'm on Yan here. I actually like this spot a lot. And it's one of my favorite spots on the card, actually. But we'll see how it goes, man. I faded Jessica last time out. So maybe I'm being a bit disrespectful, you know, I'm trying to go back to the well, but I have to call it how I see it. And I do think Yan gets the decision victory.
Let's go.
You guys have me tempted. I mean, I've been on the fence all week. I can get a better line than you guys. It's plus 173 on Bet Online.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's crazy.
This is one of the fights I tape the most, honestly, because I keep going back and forth, and I really do want to take the dog shot. Like I said, I'll be there live, so I don't have a choice. I have to bet the fight. But whether I actually tip anything, whether I actually post anything, we'll see. For me, it's a lean on Andrade, but I totally get the case for Yan for sure. And we can move on. We got our co-main event. I know you got a side here, Dan. So do I. I'm with you. We got Belal Muhammad versus Gilbert Burns. Muhammad is 22, 3-0, 34 years old, 5'11" with a 72-inch reach. Burns 22, 5-0. He's going to be 2 years older, 1 inch shorter, 1 inch reach disadvantage. Sanford MMA for him. I'll start us off. I took Belal with almost no hesitation once I saw the line. I got him at plus 125. And why do I really have to tape that fight? I know Belal very well. And I tape every fight, and I have since then, since I've placed a bet. But to me, like, I literally just watched Burns fight before this line came out, before this fight got announced. And I saw him against Masvidal. And to me, as someone who had a shit ton of money on Burns, it wasn't that impressive. It wasn't something that made me think like, all right, you're going to get the title, bro. When I look at Belal, I'm like, man, you might get the title. The way he fights, like, it's very hard for me to go against Belal at this point. I tried with Luque. I thought that if he keeps on the feet, he's going to beat this guy, and that wasn't the case. And then against Sean Brady, I played Belal, but I did his money line. Everyone's screaming, just play his decision. Play his decision. He only gets decisions. Bro got a KO. He did it. Like, you can't doubt the guy. The skill is there. He's a very, very good wrestler, not grappler. He's a very good wrestler. He is a good grappler. He's a serviceable striker, I would say. And Burns is awesome. Burns is also a really good striker. He had the super close fight with Hamzat, all of that. Yes, super high-level jiu-jitsu. I don't expect Belal to fall into any problems with that. I really don't. I think Belal has very high fight IQ. I don't think he's going to have that issue. And on the feet, I see people saying Burns is so much better, but I think they're just relying on that Hamzat fight. I don't really think so. I don't necessarily think that's the case. Burns is a good striker, but I wouldn't rate him higher than good. And Belal, to me, is the same level. He's good. He's good. And it's improving, but he's good. He's going to have the pressure. I think the 5 rounds favors him. I know Gilbert just fought. That could be a good thing for him, but it can also be a bad thing. You got to make weight twice. So for me, Belal plus 125, it wasn't much of a question. It was just a question of how much. So I put 2 units on him, and he's going to make everybody remember his name, I think. How about you, Lucrative?
This is a tough fight for me to call. You know, someone said it in the chat, one of the hardest fights to call on the card. It's a closely lined fight. The bookmakers don't know, and I don't really know either. I think this fight is going to come down to a few factors. You know, on the feet, I agree with you. I think they're about even on the feet. I'd say that Gilbert Burns has more finishing upside on the feet. I think he hits sharper and faster and with a bit more power in the boxing. But I actually think Belal's more technical in the boxing. So I think he might be able to time shots a little bit better than Gilbert can. So, the striking is very, very close. Neither of them throw a huge amount of like leg style striking, front kicks and stuff. I guess Gilbert throws a little bit more kicks, but they're quite even on the feet, in my opinion. And then with the grappling, Belal's going to potentially try and take him down. But, I mean, I don't even know if he will. As you said, he's got really high fight IQ. In the Sean Brady fight, he was like, you know what, this Sean Brady dude is strong. I'm not even going to take him down. I'm just going to test his boxing. When he knew he had an advantage in the boxing, he just boxed him up. So I don't know if he's going to try and take him down because he don't want to be in Gilbert's guard. Khamzat didn't want to be in Gilbert's guard. No one wants to be in Gilbert's guard. Gilbert, very, very good jiu-jitsu practitioner. So it's going to be interesting to see how this fight plays out. My prediction is it's going to be more of a low-pace fight than maybe what we're used to with these guys. I think it may be more of a back and forth, not a staring contest, but I do think it's going to be way more technical than we're used to. I don't think Belal's just going to be putting a pace and pressure like he does a lot of these fighters. And for that reason, it's just hard for me to call who's going to get the better of it in the judges' eyes. I'm going to lean with Belal just because I feel like in that type of fight and in any type of fight, I lean with the guy with the more cardio and who's going to be doing more in the championship rounds. And maybe even the guy who is going to be able to figure out puzzles a little bit better in there. I think Belal's fight IQ is a little bit higher. He may find an edge that he has in the fight and exploits it a little bit more than Gilbert can do. So I'm going to slightly lean Belal 55% to 45%, but I'm not too confident.
All right. How about you, Dan?
So you know how I was talking about how I bet Jourdain like literally every single fight, right? Well, it's just so coincidental that the other fighter I bet every single fight is on this card right after Jourdain, and that's Belal Muhammad. I bet him like his last 11 fights. I didn't bet the Leon fight for whatever reason. It was like a week short notice. I just wasn't feeling it, but that's a no contest, so that doesn't count. So his last 11 fights, I'm 10-1, plus 15.99 units, and I believe around a 61% ROI. So bottom line is, if you've been betting on Belal Muhammad, you've been making money. And people like to call him boring. That's just because they've been losing money on him. But if you've been betting on him every fight like I have, you don't think he's boring at all. You love his game like I do. But, I mean, I definitely showed Gilbert his respect. I watched the tape, and I think I was probably more impressed with the Masvidal fight than you were. I think that Masvidal has a ridiculous chin because, like, some of the shots Burns was hitting him with, I was like, God damn, those shots would have knocked out a lot of other people. Like, he was hitting him with some KO blows, and I was just shocked that George didn't go down. So I think my concern here, I'm not as worried about the jiu-jitsu of Burns. I know his jiu-jitsu is insane, and obviously I don't want, Burns taking the back of Belal or some shit like that, right? But I think that, like y'all were saying, as the fight progresses, don't be surprised if Belal shoots a takedown on Burns and is able to have success inside of the guard of Burns. But what I'm worried about is on the feet, not necessarily the pace of Burns, because I think when it comes to pace, I think Belal is going to be the one that when you look at like the box score after this fight, but I mean, I'm assuming Belal didn't like get stopped early or something. If this fight like gets extended, you're going to see Belal have more strikes landed than Gilbert Burns, possibly twice as many. The issue I have is that the strikes coming from Burns are hard shots, whether it's the calf kick. He's got a nasty calf kick. He's got big overhands, big left hook, big uppercut. So, yeah, I'm worried about Belal getting caught. But the thing about Belal, when you watch his last 4 fights, it's been a drastically different approach every single fight. Against Maia, he goes out there, he stuffs 21 takedowns. Against Stephen Thompson, he goes out there, he lands 7 takedowns, and he almost gets a first-round stoppage. I think if it was a different ref, it would have been a first-round stoppage. The Luque fight's completely different. He's circling on the outside. He's switching stances. He's going to body kicks a lot. Then he's setting up that entry for the double leg. And I love that Luque performance. And then the fight with Brady, he fought him drastically different than he fought Luque. With Luque, he was on the outside, switching stances, kind of being elusive. Whereas with Brady, he got right in Brady's face, and basically drew a line in the sand and said, we're going to go toe-to-toe until one man falls. So we just don't know what game plan Belal's going to come with in this fight. But what we do know is that, I mean, for the majority of the time, the guy is pretty studied up on what his opponent does, and he usually comes out there with the right game plan. So I don't know what the game plan is going to be, but I mean, we're 10-1 betting this guy. So I'm putting my trust in Belal Muhammad at plus 125, 3 units, just like Jourdain. So it's either, I mean, give me one of them to win, And it's a profitable evening, but both of them win. It's red panty night. Both of them lose. Let's not talk about it. But man, I'm hoping both of them come out here and win, but at least one. So 3 units on Jourdain plus 160, 3 units on Belal plus 125. Let's get it.
All right. Both on the same side there, and we can move on to our main event. This one, I'm still taping this one. I'm so unsure. We got Aljamain Sterling versus Henry Cejudo. Sterling, 22-3-0, 33 years old, 5'7" with the 71-inch reach. Sarah Jiu-Jitsu for him. Cejudo, 16-2-0. He's going to be 3 years older. He's going to be 3 inches shorter, giving up about 4 inches in reach. He's out of Fight Ready MMA. We know that at this point. Start us off, Lucrative. What you got here?
This is an absolutely phenomenal fight. You know, two fighters who have done a lot in their divisions. I mean, you look at Aljamain Sterling's run to the title, run through the title. He's got two, well, say what you want. He's got 2 PEM wins on his record. Arguably, he's 0-2 against PEM, but it is what it is. There's 2 W's there. He beat Corey Sandhagen, which is an elite win. He beat TJ Dillashaw. Again, massive asterisks. It's an elite win. I know TJ's diminished at this point. Doesn't matter, man. TJ Dillashaw on your record, one of the greatest bantamweight fighters ever. That's a great win, right? So, and then even you go back to Pedro Munoz, Jimmy Rivera, you know, people like that. They're good fighters. Aljamain is legit. I know he gets a lot of hate, but Aljamain is legit. And then on the other hand, Henry Cejudo, you know, I mean, I've been doing a lot of breakdowns this week about this fight, and I speak a lot about Henry Cejudo, you know, but I did want to give Aljo his props because the dude is an elite fighter. You know, if he gets on your back, it's game over. You know, if you either get submitted or you just get completely dominated. I mean, before the Merab fight, you wouldn't have thought that Petr Yan could just get completely dominated like that. It looked like they was in 2 different weight classes when the fight got to the ground because Yan just looked like a kid. You know, Aljo treated him like a kid in that second round. I thought he was going to get a stoppage at one point. So Aljo is just so tough to deal with, especially in those early rounds. The thing about Aljo is, in my opinion, he gasses out. Now, he puts so much volume out there early, and he's so aggressive with the takedowns early, and especially the striking. I mean, the volume he puts out is insane. You see that Pedro Munoz fight in the first rounds of the Petr Yan fight. I don't think he can keep that pace for, you know, in rounds 3, 4, and 5. And we saw in both Petr Yan fights, he gassed bad. Now, if he doesn't get Henry out of there, I don't see a world in which Henry isn't pushing the pace in rounds 3, 4, and 5. Now, the other thing about this fight, which is the main thing, actually, is the unknowns on the Henry Cejudo side. I mean, this dude is 36 years old now. It's not easy to fight at 36 years old in a bantamweight division, lightweight class. Not only that, is he took 3 years out of the octagon, and he's coming back in the toughest weight class in the whole fight sport, in the whole sport, against the best fighter in that weight class, arguably, right? The champion. So there's a lot of unknowns on the Henry Cejudo side. But if this is prime for prime, I'm taking Henry Cejudo all day, especially at minus 110. But it wouldn't be minus 110 if it was prime for prime. So the reason we're getting minus 110 is because of all the unknowns on Henry's side. So, I mean, what this fight comes down to is how Henry looks, you know. But I am going to say that Henry, the Olympic champ, you know, the absolute winner, I'm going to say that he comes out in his halfway through his career, adapted karate style, and he's able to beat Aljamain Sterling here. I think in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds, he takes over after losing round 1 or 2. You know, Aljo has a great first round like he always does against anybody. But I do think Henry takes over late and he finishes him. But for me, I'm not going to back it just because I'm not the type of fighter to back a pick'em when there's so many unknowns, you know. But if you are going to back anyone with tons of unknowns, Henry Cejudo is the guy to do it on, right? Because the guy's just an absolute winner. But I would be keen to see, I would be keen to play maybe an under or something because I feel like Henry's probably going to break him late, you know. But yeah, Henry Cejudo, TKO round 4, my official prediction.
All right. How about you, then?
Man, I think James broke it down nicely, man. I mean, listen, if this was like 6 months removed from the Dominic Cruz fight, bro, I'd be hammering Henry Cejudo here, straight up. I mean, like, I bet on Henry Cejudo against TJ Dillashaw, like plus 180 odds, right? And he smashes him in like 30 seconds. People can talk weight cut all they want. Dude was fucking juiced out of his mind in that fight, and Henry got him out of there easy, man. And then I max bet him against Dominic Cruz, and I mean, he handled one of the greatest bantamweights of all time, unlike anyone had done at the time, right? So, you know, as far as the layoff's concerned, because I hear a lot of people saying Henry Cejudo's the GOAT, right? And he's definitely one of the greatest combat sports athletes of all time, but to actually call him the GOAT, I mean, like, I can't put him ahead of John Jones, GSP, or Anderson. I just can't. But, you know, if he's truly on the level of greatness as those people, like some people are comparing him to, well, then 3 years shouldn't be an issue, right? John Jones didn't have an issue off a 3-year layoff. GSP didn't have an issue off a 3-year layoff. Both of them came back up a weight class and won a belt. So let's see how great Henry Cejudo truly is. The thing is, I don't know what I'm getting, because like when he was doing his work at Fight Ready and Neuroforce One, like the strength and conditioning program they got over there, like, bro, he was so fucking ripped before that Dominic Cruz fight. And I just don't know what he looks like right now. So I need to wait till Friday, see what he looks like on the scales. Like, let me see, like, show me that Henry Cejudo is in the best shape of his life. And if he is, then I'm going to be a little bit more confident. To your credit, James, I mean, you brought up the insane volume that Aljamain brings to the table, and it's factual. It might not look the prettiest, and it absolutely doesn't look the prettiest. It actually looks kind of ugly as far as I'm concerned. But I mean, like, for a guy that I've disrespected for so many goddamn years, if you would have told me a few years ago that Aljamain Sterling would not only be a UFC champion, but would be a champion with 2 title defenses, regardless if like he won the belt on an acting job and if he defended the belt on what I thought was a robbery, despite all that, if you would have told me Aljo is going to go down as a bantamweight champion with 2 title defenses in the UFC, I would have been like, yeah, right, dude. Because, I mean, I was the guy that was betting Brian Caraway at plus 350 against Aljamain Sterling. They call him the Funk Master. I was calling him the Fraud Master, man. So I've never been sold on Sterling. So I got to give him his respect, man. I mean, he's dangerous as fuck when he gets on the back. He's got insane volume. He's super athletic. He's big for the weight class. So the early going is going to be tough when Henry's still getting, you know, used to being back in there for the first time in 3 years. It's just that, like James said, that 3rd round starts coming through. Let's not even talk about the 2 Peter Yan fights. Let's pull up that Pedro Munoz fight. What happened in round 3 when Aljamain started eating those stabbing front kicks to the body, and Ray Longo was like, Aljo, hold on, bro. Like, we got this in the bag. You just have to hold on. Had that been 2 more rounds, you never know. Pedro could have got him out of there, man. And even like the Yan fight, the second one, man, I mean, the championship rounds were easily won by Yan. It just came down to how you scored the first round. Live, I was at that fight. It was in Jacksonville. Live, I thought without a shadow of a doubt that Yan won that fight. When I went back and rewatched it, I was like, okay, it was a little bit closer than I thought. But live, I was like, yeah, Yan got 1, 4, and 5 easy. And then when they announced Sterling the winner, I was like, what? And like, I know, like, when my guys lose, like, you know, because I had a bet on Yan, stupid bet in hindsight, you know, betting that kind of chalk on a split decision. I didn't expect it to be a split decision. I expected it to be a destruction. But even with that, like, I mean, you'll see me, like, even before fights are over, if I think my guy lost, I'll just tweet out that he lost before a fight's even over. Like, that's like, I'm very aware if my guy is winning or losing. So I was actually surprised that he lost the second Yan fight, or that he won the second Yan fight rather. But back to this, show me what kind of shape Henry's in on Friday. Like, just show me. If he's looking fat, then, I mean, you got to go with Sterling. But if he's looking like that same Triple C, ripped out of his mind, best shape of his life, I mean, I think Henry's way better than this guy. So my pick is Henry, but it's not the same confidence I would have had, you know, 6 months removed from the Dominic Cruz fight. Because 6 months removed from the Dominic Cruz fight, you hang up plus 100 on Henry Cejudo against Aljamain Sterling. I mean, it's a no-brainer. But due to the factors y'all mentioned, let me see how he looks on Friday. But pick is still going to be Henry Cejudo.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. My original pick was Sterling, and then I taped it. If he can't hold down Cejudo, I don't know how he wins this. I can't really bet Cejudo confidently without seeing him. What was it, like 3 years now? I think he's a better striker. I think his grappling abilities are really good. I think his counter grappling is really good. I think his takedown defense, 93%. I don't think he's ever fought somebody the size of Sterling, who's also a really good wrestler. Maybe that can play into it. Maybe the fact that he's been out can play into it. But the more I watch, the more I think Cejudo just wins this fight. I think it might be a late KO. I played 3, 4, and 5 on FanDuel for plus 950. Can't track it, but I like that bet quite a bit. Whether I get the Cejudo money line, I'll see. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to be there live. Probably want to bet on the main event other than the finish. So I'll probably take Cejudo, but nothing right now for me. And that's it, guys. That's the card. That's UFC 288. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. big thank you to Lucrative and Dan for coming in. Appreciate you guys big time. Dope show. Always dope breaking down fights with you guys. I'll pass the mic to you guys to plug yourselves, and then we'll hop right out. For me, I'm going live tomorrow at 12 a.m. for my panel with Patrick, Addicted to Combat. We do it every pay-per-view. We're having on Liam from Liam Picks Fights. Sorry. And we're also having Mushroom on, so should be a good time. And on Friday, I'll be doing my prop talk, as always, with MMA Propaholic. Lucrative, thanks for coming on, brother. Plug yourself real quick, and I'll pass the mic to Dan.
Yeah, my pleasure, mate. Thanks for inviting me on. Always have fun chatting fights with you. Shout out to you and Dan for being here, because I think this was a good trio, man. I think we're mostly. I went head to head with you, Mike, a few times, but mostly we're on the same spot. So I know for a fact that if I win, Dan's probably going to win. But if I win and me and Dan win, you're probably going to lose, man. So we'll see how it goes. Virna, Jandiroba, and a few others, but we'll see. But yeah, man, everyone can find me. Just type Lucrative MMA in any social media platform, Instagram, YouTube, all of that sort of stuff. I make YouTube content. Everyone's on YouTube now, so you can go over and subscribe to my channel as well. I'll put out videos like this every single week. But other than that, just thanks for having me on again, and good luck this weekend to all the viewers. Shout out to all the viewers, because without the viewers, there's no show. We wouldn't be speaking to each other. Well, we probably would, because we love MMA, but we wouldn't be live. Yeah. So shout out to all the viewers, man. Appreciate every single one of you. And thanks for having me on again, Mike.
Hell yeah. All right, Dan. Thanks for coming on, brother. Plug yourself real quick, and we'll head on out.
Yeah, man. Obviously, thank you for having me. Thank you to everyone that tuned in. Truly grateful. Twitter, Best Fight Picks. My show, Half the Battle, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So I'll be going live. That's tomorrow. And then my new series, The Technique of the Week. Just basically trying to break down jiu-jitsu techniques in under 90 seconds, ideally under 60 seconds, and just want to make it fun and easy to understand. Like, no bullshit, just step by step, just make it fun and easy to understand for people that, that don't train, or even people that do train. Maybe they can get something from it. But for people that like never train and they just want to know like certain techniques and certain things, hopefully I can help them with that. So Friday, Technique of the Week, Wednesday, Half the Battle. Thank you all very much.
Hell yeah. All right, guys. Thank you.
Russian Ronda knee bar this Friday.
Yo, put that up, Dan. Put that up.
Friday.
But, all right, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you again to my guests, Lucrative and Dan. And good luck, everybody, this weekend. Let's get that money.